This series has freaky creatures, strange mutants. It has three scientists that are trying to find a cure. There's a lot of heart into it, and it has a lot of adventure.
Fitz of Writing.
Hey there, Scribbles and Scratches. Good evening. I am Sean Fitzgerald, your host for tonight's episode of the Fitz of Writing. Before we jump in, like, subscribe, share, notification bell, blah, 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 all that stuff we all have to say. We are here tonight at the behest of Sir Dr. Duncan Cackleworth, my boss and benefactor, with a very special guest. She is a method author, a peanut butter and bologna sandwich crafter, and a lover of the Northwest Coast, Ruth A. Milligan. How are you doing
Hello.
tonight, Ruth?
I'm good. How are you?
I cannot complain. I'm always happy and excited to talk to somebody new and hear about the works that they've put together. And you are working on wrapping up a trilogy, if I'm not mistaken. When you submitted your application, you were in the editing phase. Have you got beyond that yet, or?
I'm still in the editing phase. I'm on the third round, so I'm getting close to finishing. Yeah.
Great. Well, congratulations on that. I got a couple questions about that, but we generally start these interviews off with a little bit about the author themselves. So I don't know if you're familiar with the question from any other previous videos, but we like to ask how your story begins.
Well, I always liked writing. When I was I was a big reader when I was in grade school. I had a babysitter that lived 2 blocks from the public library. And in the summertime, I had asthma and I couldn't go out and play a lot with the other kids. And so her daughter would walk me over there almost every day in the summer and I would pick up books. So the librarians knew me really well. And I thought, wow, these books are so cool. I want to make one. So that's when I started writing. And
I like that.
so, yeah. And so I did it for years and years for fun. I kind of played with, publishing one day. But as I wrote things, I always wrote things really long and they never had an ending and I would just start something else. So, yeah. And my mom used to love reading my books. And one day she said, okay, well, there's never an ending, so I'll read the next book you finish. So that was my inspiration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trapped you into wrapping something up and getting going on calling it how to know when to close the curtains. There we go.
So that's Beautiful. When Dark Secrets came up. But so,
okay. You had mentioned that was you got your main character for that from, was it a November writing contest or competition? If you, yeah, tell me a little bit about that story that you made for that competition and when you knew you wanted to pluck that character out and put him somewhere else.
So I didn't have any plans when I wrote the book. I just thought it would be really fun to sit down and write a book in a month, a whole book in a month, the whole rough draft. So I had this crazy idea. I really like monsters, the Frankenstein, I'm a big fan, and vampires. And I'm like, but I wanted to do something new. So maybe I'll just mix it all together. So I started writing this book about this scientist that is making these creatures out of monsters. And Adam Davidson was the star. And when I finished writing it, I decided that I liked the character, but the story didn't really work. So I started over pretty much with my character. It made
Sc-
this futuristic world. Yeah.
Yeah, what made you decide to put it in the future? I saw that 2072 is the year that it takes place, but it's grounded, like your setting is the
Right.
real world, right? What ma-
Right.
any particular reasoning behind 2072?
Because a lot of the things in my book could easily happen by 2072. Hopefully,
Okay.
not the bad stuff, but a lot of the futuristic stuff. So I thought it would be a good year. When I first started writing it, I had someone read it through, and they're like, I don't even know what year this takes place. You need a year. And that's when I sat down and started thinking, well, about 50 years in the future from when I wrote it is
Okay.
realistic. Yeah.
And the overall, like, overarching title for the series is the Juniper
Mm-hmm.
Ridge series.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Secrets being the first book, and the second one came out how long ago?
August
Just
uh,
back in August.
of last year. Yeah.
And what's the title of that one again? I'm having a
The
brain fart.
serum.
One more time.
The serum.
Ah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know that through reading the synopsis, I looked you up on Amazon and everything. The overall goal of the series is Adam getting infected with this virus that's going through the water systems,
Mm-hmm.
and when the effects start taking hold, the big search is for a cure to that while trying to not meet the other end of that sword, which is being removed from mortal coil and society alike. But
Right.
what if you could, for anybody who
Mm-hmm.
hasn't heard of the series, could you give us like an elevator pitch for it, and then maybe like go into as much of the plot as you're willing to share?
Sure. So this series has freaky creatures, strange mutants. It has three scientists that are trying to find a cure. There's a lot of heart into it, and it has a lot of adventure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And where in this overall story, like when it begins, does has Adam already been infected? Um, is it or it did is it something that happens like early on? Is it the initiating incident?
It happens about halfway through the book, actually.
Okay.
In the beginning, they're trying to find a cure. There's Juniper Ridge, and then on the other side of the building is Black Hills. And while they're looking for a cure, there's Jill Freeman over in Black Hills, and she thinks that all the mutants should just be killed. So they're trying to find a cure before that happens. And
Okay.
then halfway through, Adam starts turning into a mutant, and it just ups the intensity. And they really have to find a cure as fast as they can.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
the stakes get higher because now they're personal. I remember reading about Jill Friedman, and it was a nice little trick, kind of tantalizing, because you put in there that the reason that she wants
Mm-hmm.
to eliminate all the mutants is that she's overcome with grief.
Mm-hmm.
How spoilery is it for you to say why she's overcome with grief? Is that something that you
Um,
can say?
I can say that she lost her father.
Okay.
He was the head of Juniper Ridge.
Good. Okay.
So,
So, real personal.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So she makes this little offshoot where she can just do something about it the way she feels is personally best for herself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you're should relatively soon be putting out the third installment, and then you listed it to us as a trilogy, but are there any offshoots, sequels, prequels, anything like that planned for the future, or are you cooking up another story? What are
Well,
you planning on doing?
originally it's going to be just a trilogy, and I am thinking of another story, a horror story about a haunted vineyard. that I would like to do next. But in the back of my mind, it's really hard to let this one go. So I think it would be fun to do like a spinoff, maybe somewhere else in the country, because this is happening all over.
Okay.
Maybe a new cast of characters. And
How widespread in your world is this virus? Because it's all, there's nothing paranormal that I picked up on just from what you
um,
sent us and everything. It's all viral. And so I'm guessing, mutated DNA and things like that introduced that way. But how widespread is it? Is it global? Is it just within the US or?
well, it starts out in Tennessee, Oregon, where the story is, but it has spread over the U.S. And so they call, in the third book, they call it Ground Zero.
Okay.
So because that's where it started. So that's where it's the worst, but it's in other places, but it's not quite as bad.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. And as it spreads, that gives you an opportunity to tell other stories that are still, in the general vicinity of the Juniper Hill saga. So that's cool.
Right.
You definitely have a lot of potential there. So I'm sure that that's a little bit exciting. But you also don't seem to want to limit yourself to just the science fiction or whatever. You want to go horror. Would you call Juniper Ridge Trilogy horror at all, or is it mostly just sci-fi?
I think it could also be horror
Okay,
as like a subgenre because it does have creatures and it has a little bit of gore to it. And I think it could be a little bit of both.
well, I'm a horror fanatic, so I'm all about that stuff like that. um okay, good. Well, I also love me a good ghost story, so it'd be interesting to see what you come up with your haunted vineyard idea. Would you say has any pen been put to paper on that yet, or are we still just kind of building the idea?
Well, actually, I had the idea a long time ago. Remember, I was talking about so I don't finish things. So I have like a big chunk of the beginning done.
Okay,
Yeah. So I think I could go back and do some revisions and figure out an ending.
good.
Yeah.
Are you the kind of author who can work on more than one story at once, or do you kind of have to have your horse blinders on to keep you focused?
Well, for now, for the first two books, I pretty much has been working on one, but I do when I do editing, I do it the best I can, and then I send it off to beta readers, and I give them about a month. So in that month, I start like playing around with a new idea.
Okay.
So I
So
kind
if
of
you're
go back and forth.
so when you're like polishing something, you're not building a story, so you can move on to the next one for the whole creation section of it and everything.
Right.
That's good. Yeah. That's feels like a good system where you're never really just sitting still and waiting on somebody else getting back to you with anything. Um so I had a question here about the origin of the idea and everything, but it sounds like you more or less built it around Adam. What was it
Mhm.
about Adam that you knew you wanted to craft a whole trilogy uh, around that you didn't do that with any other character before him?
I think it was because when I wrote uh, the National Novel Writers Month one, it's like his character didn't fit the story. His character was like he wanted to help people, and I still wanted to do the weird creatures. So in the first in the first rough draft, he had to have a job where he knew how to do all this stuff. So he needs to be a doctor.
Hmm,
And so I thought, well, if I put it in the future and he's trying to cure these things instead of building them, it would be a really cool idea. And then it went from there.
just kind of fleshed all out, and he has some
Yeah.
cohorts. Oh, help me,
Mm-hmm.
Sven and
Jesse.
Jesse. That's okay.
Yes.
Were two characters you created for this story to just kind of help flesh things out, or did they come over from your writing contest too?
No, actually, they came later. What I did was when I was writing about the mutant hospital, he worked at the mutant hospital all the time. He's a family man. He's in his early 30s, but he's a workaholic, because obviously his job is very important. So he spends a lot of time with these people.
Mm.
When I wrote, like, I would say my second or third draft, I wrote it in 3 parts, and Adam was the first part, and then I changed the point of view to Sven, and then to Jesse, and then I realized it would have been better just to have Adam, but I needed the other two, so that's what came the trilogy. They each
Okay.
get their own book.
Oh, okay. All right. So each book is from somebody else's point of view, or it's all from Adam's?
They're from the different point of views, and it tells their story.
I like that. Okay, so that has to lead to a pretty well flushed out world, and you can't write a whole book from a paper thin character's point of view either. So yeah, that I really like that. But they're not all telling the same events from their perspective, right?
No,
it's a continuing story.
right.
That's very cool. I like that a lot. That some part of that feels familiar. And I almost want to say I'm thinking of like an X-Files episode, but uh
I used to watch that.
oh, I loved it. I loved it so much. But yeah, okay. Well, you said that you can build on the story moving forward. By the end of the
Mhm,
third book, is
mhm.
there a cure? Or do you want or do you want to tell me to shut up and buy the book and
Is there a what?
a cure for the mutagen?
Oh, I can't tell.
Yeah.
It would give too much away.
shut shut up and buy the book. Yes. If you
I
need
don't
to
want it.
know, viewer,
Don't want spoilers.
no big spoilers. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you can tell everybody about the book or books that are out so
Mhm.
far that wouldn't be a huge spoiler, but you feel like might be a draw for a sci-fi reader who's enjoy like their flavor is like mutants and viruses and things?
Yeah, it's got mutants and viruses. It's got a lot of futuristic things too. There's teleportation machines. There's backpacks where you can cook your lunch. There's all kinds of paralyzer rods. There's some really funky weapons that they use that are different, because a lot of times they don't want to hurt the mutants. They actually want to take them back to the hospital and cure them. Another thing they have is the MCS, the Mutant Containment Services, and they come out in like these armored things, and they take care of the mutants and bring them back and keep everyone safe. So,
So they're working with Juniper Ridge and not Black Hills.
right.
Okay. D-
Yeah.
Does Black Hills have their own version of the MCS?
No, the Black Hills usually has gets the mutants if they get too many.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, and it's all very secret over there. A lot of people don't know what's going on over there except for the people that are over there working with Joe.
Okay. This this would probably be a better question for the writing portion, but I don't want to forget it. Um, when in the books and everything, like how do you go about explaining anything that is futuristic? What's your way of kind of explaining to the reader what it is without breaking the immersion of, oh, it is 2072. Everybody
Right.
knows about these things. Do you have a special trick that you would say that you're fond of?
I wouldn't say a trick. I would say just when I mention something, like there's spidomeds, and they're just they look like a octopus thing that like it attaches to your body, so you can get medicine and you don't have to use needles. The
Hmm,
first time I mentioned it, I just kind of used just a sentence or two saying, "Oh, and it works this way,"
okay,
without going into too much detail.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm asking because I'm curious. I'm not actually super familiar with science fiction. It's just I
Mhm.
always struggle with that way that you portray something that is, it's everyday to your characters, but your reader obviously is unfamiliar. So I like to find out ways that people do that because that's genre wide or any genre you could
Mhm.
kind of run into that with if you built your own fantasy world and it has some sort of a magical potion or whatever,
Mhm.
just for an example. It's kind of hard to explain that kind of stuff, something that authors struggle with getting through. uh, and you don't want to just like lay it all out and take a break from the story and kill the pacing and everything.
Right.
But yeah, being brief with it though definitely is a
Yeah.
great way to kind of.
I think the trickiest part was when you're writing a trilogy in the second book. It's like, how much do I show people? Because I don't know if they've read the first book or not. So I usually do just a really brief recap.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's generous of you. I mean, you could just be like, if you don't understand what's going on, then you need to go buy the first one and take a look at that and then come back here. We'll rendezvous later. Uh,
Right.
okay. I like it. Is there any like what else would you want to say about the story as far as, something that you think might hook somebody? Uh if there's anything left, I'd happy to let you try to like tantalize everybody real quick.
Yeah. I think of something. I went to a book signing and I had a reader tell me that she really loved Adam and how he cared about his patients. And she was halfway through her second time reading it. So it's not just about monsters and mutants, but it's about the characters and how they relate to it and how they relate to each other and how it affects it. A lot of dystopian, I think it's more about how people work together or sometimes they're torn apart by these horrible things that are happening in the world.
Yeah. I could see him being a really good protagonist, just because not only does he care about like who he's caring for, but there's really no way not to care halfway through the first book because now suddenly every problem his patients are having, it's also a problem he has. Uh, I
Right.
could. That's a great way to like. Oh, I like this character, but then what your readers can be like, oh, something's happening to my character, and uh, so now pulls them in a little bit. I
Mhm.
like that. That is a very interesting trick. I like that. I would like to talk a little bit more about your writing, but first, I think we are
Mhm.
going to take a very quick break so that Sir Dr. Duncan can have a moment of our viewers' time to tell them about this season's incredible contest. We'll be right back.
Greetings, Scribbles and Scratches. I am positively spellbound to announce my incredible contest. A free writing competition designed to reward those daring few who are striving to stride the hard road to publication. Yes, free I say. No entry fees, no hidden curses, no genre restrictions. To enter, simply request a submission form and submit. And the winner, oh, the glorious winner, shall receive top-tier professional grade line, proof, and copy editing from a best-selling editor, completely free. Up to 30,000 words or half the book, whichever comes first. A guaranteed interview and additional promotion from the Fitz of Writing upon publication. So, Scribbles and Scratches, request the form. Submit with confidence. This has been Sir Dr. Duncan Cackleworth, Esquire, reminding you that ink, when properly wielded, can create the most incredible of things. Strike the like, and semper scribe.
All right, everybody, remember that we are wanting 2 rounds of editing at least, I believe. And if I wind up being wrong about that, I will cut this part out. But if you submit your piece to the Fitz of Writing email and everything, by the end of the season, we will select somebody who can have some free editing services from editor Kimberly Huther. back to the interview with Ruth. My favorite thing I think that I read as far as your interesting facts go,
Hmm.
when you applied was that when you're working on your stories, you actually dress in character, and you are. It made me think method actor, method author. What does that do for you whenever you're, you know, in character or in outfit at least, and working on your stories?
It almost transports me directly to the hospital mentally, to the mutant hospital. I feel like I'm walking in Adam's shoes. I know what he's thinking and what he's going through. And it also tells me, okay, it's time to sit and it's time to write and focus on this world and forget about the real world. And it helps me in that way. I've even gone to some book signings where I wear my lab coat.
Okay. I
Yeah.
interviewed an author named Tahani Nelson when I was just first getting started, long time before Ryan got involved with me, and she was awesome to talk to. Her story was great, but she goes to Renaissance fairs dressed
Mhm.
in the same kind of garb and armor and things that her character's dressed in. And that was 2022 that I interviewed her. You're the first person who does anything like that that has told me, at least. Uh,
Mhm.
since then, and I do think that there's something to be said about really trying to step into the shoes of your characters. I'm assuming you don't wear a lab coat in your career, or do you?
No,
No.
no. I work at a restaurant, so no.
Okay. Well, or
Yeah,
maybe on Halloween, but still,
maybe.
uh, I could see that having some kind of an effect. And then, especially after doing it for a while, you're on your third book and everything like that. That doing like what you said, telling your brain like, now this is the thing I'm focusing on, and this is what I pour my energy into. um
Mhm.
do you have any other like bits to your routine that just kind of really help you sink into the zone when it comes to
Um,
putting some pages up?
yeah, I had pictures of the world I found on the internet, some interesting creatures, some forest scenes, and I put them up in front of my desk. And there's a part where they're in the forest and it's raining and it's hard. So I would like listen to like a rain and thunderstorm type thing
Okay.
sitting at my desk. And sometimes when I write, I can actually just close my eyes and type and
Really
see
get
it.
yourself there. Yeah.
Right.
I would probably venture a guess that, like, if the author is as immersed as possible, then whatever they're writing probably would reflect that to some degree. And
Hmm.
if people are reading your book more than once and coming up to you at a book signing and telling you so, then it must be working. I may I Oh, in the book I'm writing right now, nobody wears weird clothes. So I guess I'm always in character, but uh I did really really like that, and even the close second as far as the interesting facts. I would like to know the story behind you actually putting a peanut butter and bologna sandwich in your mouth just because your character did. Was that to keep this immersion feeling going? Where did that
Yeah.
idea come from?
Actually, a loved one, he eats like really weird combinations for his sandwiches. And I thought it would be a fun quirk for Adam. You know, he needs his protein punch. And I was curious. I'm like, well, Adam eats these. I wonder what they taste like. So one bite and I was done. I
Okay.
was like, okay.
Well, I almost wrote connoisseur of when I was coming up with my intro, but I was like, she didn't say that she eats them all the time. She said that she tried it, so I should probably just say crafter. Um, I'm glad I did. Didn't guess that
Yeah,
one wrong. Doesn't sound like it'd be great.
no.
uh, Gosh, a long time ago, my dad told me that he had tried peanut butter and pickles on a hamburger, and I shuddered at the thought. And he didn't tell me it was the best thing he'd ever had, but he was like, "You won't hate it as much as you think you will," and I didn't. So that's there's cool combinations out there.
Yeah, there is.
The aspect of getting inspired by the November writing competition and writing
Mhm.
a whole rough draft in the span of a month. It takes me 3 weeks just to have an outline I like, and that's the kind of writer I am. Do you plan out a book beginning to end, or do you kind of write by the seat of your pants? How do you kind of move forward with an idea?
Well, the first one I started being a pantser, as they call it, and it took me so long that by the second one, I decided, well, I'm going to at least have some points, like a general outline. A lot of times when I start writing, I think of ways to change it. But back when I wrote Dark Secrets, when I was done with the rough draft, for Christmas for my mom and dad, I got this box and little tiny box, and I opened it up, and there was a whole bunch of money in there and bills that they've been collecting. And they're like, well, this is for your editing fees. It's not much. You can start a fund. And, it really inspired me. And I went down, to the bank, and I did that, and I started a fund, and I had someone starting to help me with that. And after that, he taught me how to, it's a good idea to at least have an outline and the things that should be in there.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people call themselves pantsers, and they don't outline every single story beat. I'm a lot closer to doing every story beat than I am having what it sounds like you do, where you have like a general idea of like where they're going, but how they get there is up to you and the
Hmm.
characters and how they flow. That seems to be pretty common right now. I'm terrified. I'll lose track. I will wander off and get lost and forget all about the story if I do that. So, uh, I don't trust myself at this point to be able to do that, but I do like the idea of your characters driving the story and the narrative and everything like that to at least some degree.
Hmm.
Because I've had people say, like, I wouldn't do that. I don't know why I'm like my character's doing it kind of thing. They really do
Hmm.
kind of take on a mind of their own. Um, do how many November writing competitions did you do? Is it just the one, or have you done a few of them?
I've done a couple. I haven't done it a lot.
You know, do you feel like that's sort of inspirational for you to like give yourself 30 days to wrap something up, and that you like really like kind of like working out a muscle that gets stronger over time, like something you'd encourage new writers
Yeah,
to do?
I think so. I've even done that with editing too.
Really?
Yeah, they used to have something like that in the summertime where you take a month and you sit and you edit your book, do a round of editing.
Oh, that sounds awful. I hate editing. I I shouldn't be allowed to do it at all. Um, is there anything else from any of those stories that you've pulled and put somewhere else? As far as maybe settings, concepts, themes, or other characters?
Um, the other one I did actually was Cursed Vines, the one I talked about, but I didn't actually finish the whole rough draft in a month. I didn't quite make it, but
Well, at least there's not a penalty.
yeah.
That wouldn't be any
Get A
fun.
for effort.
Right. There you go. Uh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't want to sign myself up for that. November is a short month. I may need that extra day. You never know.
Lot
Um
going on.
right. I got to get ready for Christmas and everything like that. But I do really care like for the idea of like people challenging themselves and everything like that and signing up for
Mhm.
something and sticking to their guns about it. And I do feel like the more you make those kinds of um, attempts and everything, I think that it can only help you build as a writer and as a creator, really, even just to
Hmm.
imagine stuff on the fly like that. And I guess that kind of bleeds me into the next question that I had for you. Like, as far as whether it be the having 30 days to put something together, like, what's the most difficult thing that you've had to kind of overcome as a writer, be it telling the story, editing, timelines, or like if there's a particular kind of scene you just don't like to write?
Hmm.
What's the most difficult thing that has kind of happened with you while you've been putting all this together, and how did you get over it in a way you'd advise new authors?
Um, I I would say the editing, because I just want to keep making it better and keep making it better, and then it's never going to get done because I didn't quite know when it was ready. And my advice would be to have someone else read it, a professional read it, not like a friend, but because they're not going to want to criticize you, but someone that can help
Yeah.
and tell you, because the first time I wrote it, there are things I changed where my editor was like, no, you should have kept that. so, so it's good to have second or third eye on things.
Okay. So, like,
Yeah,
let somebody else tell you it's done, somebody from a point of at least, some expertise, and
right.
let you know that your story feels finished. We
Hmm.
actually we have a segment called Dear Duncan, and we released a video not that long ago where somebody had written in with a similar problem of
Hmm.
like not knowing when to quit tweaking. And my co-host Ryan is that way too. He's an excellent writer. I will never tell him to his face, never. But he is an excellent writer, and he's going for something, but I don't know if he'll ever be the person to tell himself that he's done. And he won't listen to me, which is fine. But uh handing it off to somebody else might help him realize like you've done enough. Um so I agree with you. I think that that is good advice, especially for somebody who's just approaching that, is like, let like if you've got a little bit of doubt and you can't just allow yourself to let it go, let somebody else tell you at least what needs to be polished moving forward. And then
Hmm.
when that's accomplished, it's done. You did mention something that you're on you said third round of editing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So how come you what why do you like the idea of multiple rounds of editing? Is it because you've made your changes and you want to make sure those are good? Or is it that you just want to get a few second opinions?
Usually I do it myself as good as I can get it. Yeah.
Hmm.
And then I send it off to people. And a lot of times they see things that I didn't see, big and little things. And a lot of times when I get their feedback, I get different ideas of how I want to make my book better
Oh, okay.
myself too. So I at least want to give it 2 or 3 rounds so that I can make it the best I can. And I have all those good ideas out.
Okay. So sometimes editing can even inspire a small change to your story as a whole, not just like grammar or, a scene.
Hmm.
Okay. Good. I like that. Well, I paid a lot of attention whenever you applied to the future aspect of it and the word dystopian, which I am a fan of, worlds that are built that way in literature. So
Hmm.
I did want to ask, a question that I thought would be fun to talk about, which is just what do you personally hope that your readers take away from any futuristic themes in your book? Is it part of the setting, or is there something about that future that you want them to be chilled by or wary of?
I think it's in the future. The future, the world may be different, but it's important that we all work together as people. And one of the overlying themes in all of my in my trilogy is what really makes us human, because there's humans that are affected by the virus and they're mutants, but what really makes us people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there were probably some mutants that are more human than some uninfected humans?
They're animals and there's humans, so
What? So if Adam didn't find a cure and everything, like he doesn't find a cure, he gets
mhm.
fully infected and everything, does he lose himself, or does he just look different? Like, what's the end, like, stage of the illness in the books?
So deep inside he's still himself, but he will like feel aggressive and so it's a little bit of both. Emotionally he'll be off, because in the book, as he starts to change, he does become aggressive, and then a little later he's like, I can't believe that was me. And it's really hard for him.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
we're all a byproduct of the chemicals and everything that go through our brain and how
Right.
and when they fire and things like that. So, that was just me being curious. I didn't think about that until right then, about whether or not, people just looked different but were still themselves, or if it actually affected behavior. And that's
Hmm.
probably a scary, notion for anybody in your book, like realizing you're not being who you know yourself to be, and probably a lot to deal with and everything as they're going through. So I like it. It sounds like an interesting story. Um, but you're wanting the readers to focus that even if there's all the fancy doohickeys of the future and all of these
Hmm.
different sicknesses and issues, that it's still nobody does it alone and everybody's got some level of humanity to them. So that's a fun
Right.
that's a fun and honestly kind of hopeful theme. So I enjoy that. If anybody is, like we said, into the books you like to write with your mutants
Hmm.
and your future and the sci-fi aspects of it, where is the best place to get a copy of any of the books you've released already, and where can they watch out for the third one? And do you have any kind of a prediction on when that would be available?
It may be a few months
Okay,
from now. Yeah.
so maybe like early summer. Um, Beautiful. And where are you, like, books available for purchase at?
You could get them on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, pretty much anywhere books are sold.
Okay,
Um, you can jump on my website, www.ruthamilligan.com, and it keeps you updated on where I have book signings. If you want to meet me, that would be great. Or where you can find my books and what I'm doing.
good. Is that your
Yeah.
favorite place for people to follow you and what you're up to, or are there any other social medias that folks can follow you on, like Facebook or anything like that?
Yeah, I have a Facebook author page. You could also sign up for my newsletter. I send one out once a month and keep everyone updated. Right now, Dark Secrets is I'm working on it to be an audiobook.
Good,
So
very
I
good.
just I just listened to the first couple chapters yesterday. So
How excited?
yeah, very excited.
Good. I love. Yeah, I worked pretty quick on getting my first novel made into an audiobook. I got very lucky that a friend just happened to have recently dove into that industry, and he wanted to do it, and we had a lot of fun making it. It is
Nice.
fun. Um, I, as far as like getting it out there and whatnot, are you gonna maybe go? Are you planning on going through ACX? Is that where you found
Yeah.
your narrator? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. They Did you have them audition for you and you picked your favorite, or did you find one you liked?
I had auditions.
Awesome. I like
Yeah.
that too. That way, you're getting the cream of the crop.
Right.
All right. Well, if you want to take a look at Ruth's writing, listen to it, read it for yourself a little bit, we do have a sample of something that's not related in any way, shape, or form to Juniper Ridge. Um, that released on Sunday on our Facebook and our Instagram. It's something she put together that was inspired by just a picture that we sent her Ryan very much loves to call a telltale. We do have a monthly competition where people can submit, and we will pick our favorite at the end of the month and make one of them for you. But in the meantime, you can listen to Ruth's Telltale. It will also be releasing here on Saturday so that you can listen to it on YouTube as well. But it's a great way to kind of get an idea of what exactly it is you're getting into with her writing style and her narrative voice. If you want to support Ruth, visit her website and all of her socials, give her a follow, buy her book, leave a review. It's very important for getting indie authors into the algorithm and getting their books seen. Other than that, if you want to support us and the work we do on this channel, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, follow us on any of the socials. We're everywhere. It's hard to not see us, so there's no excuse. Ruth, is there anything you want to say to everybody before we leave about you, your book, anything?
Oh, just thank you for listening. And if you're ready to dive into a futuristic, crazy world with some wonderful people, I would look into it.
Fantastic. I invite you all to get yourself a copy of Dark Secrets. You won't understand the serum without it. What's the third one going to be called?
I'm leaning towards the final cure, but that's
Final
not in
Cure.
scope.
And you won't understand anything in that one if you don't read the first two. So get them both. I thank you for coming on, Ruth. This was fun. I'm looking forward to hearing how your story ends and this go around. And you're more than welcome to come back and tell everybody about it when you do release it. Other than that, everybody strike the like, semper scribe, and fade to black.